Welcome to the 700 Club. If Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone. Those were the words from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Today, as Israel paused to remember the 6 million lost in the Holocaust, it's once again in a fight for survival. Chris Mitchell reports on the latest developments in the ongoing war against Hamas.
Hamas announced the latest ceasefire talks have ended. The terror group insists on two key demands. One, the end of the war, and two, Israel completely pulls out of the Gaza Strip. Both are non-starters for Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant addressed troops about the talks.
We are recognizing worrisome signals that Hamas is not planning to accept any deal or agreement with us. And that means the operation in Rafah and in the entire Gaza Strip in the very near future.
As a prelude to the incursion into Rafah, the IDF is sending leaflets telling civilians to leave for a humanitarian zone Israel is preparing for their safety. On Sunday, Hamas launched a rocket attack on Israeli soldiers at the Kerem Shalom crossing for humanitarian aid. The attack killed 4 soldiers and wounded 9. Despite the continued attacks by the terror group, the Biden administration objects to any incursion into the last major Hamas stronghold. And Axios is reporting that the U.S. stopped a shipment of ammunition. Israel also closed the Qatar-based Al Jazeera News Bureau, calling it a Hamas mouthpiece that undermines the nation's security. At the annual commemoration for the Holocaust Sunday night, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu compared Israel's current struggle to the Holocaust.
Today, we again confront enemies bent on our destruction. I say to the leaders of the world, no amount of pressure, no decision by any international forum will stop Israel from defending itself.
Israel stands at a defining moment in its history, and Netanyahu pledged, if necessary, the Jewish state will stand alone.
As the Prime Minister of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, I pledge here today from Jerusalem on this Holocaust Remembrance Day, if Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone.
On Monday morning, a siren sounded throughout the country. Traffic stopped and Israelis stood in silence to remember the 6 million who died in the Holocaust. With the number of threats surrounding Israel and the alarming rise of global anti-Semitism, some see an ominous parallel between Israel in 2024 and the 1930s in Germany. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, here's another parallel to World War II. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he was asked, could he make peace with Germany? Could he make peace with the Nazis? His response was unconditional surrender. There is no world where Nazi Germany is allowed to move forward. That was his condition for ending the war. It should be our stance with Hamas. Unconditional surrender. If you want to see peace in Gaza, if you want to see an end to the war, Hamas has to surrender, lay down their arms, give up the hostages. That should be the price that they pay for October 7th. They have been thoroughly defeated. They're the ones putting the citizens of Gaza at risk. Just imagine trying to provide humanitarian aid. You're an army battling a terror group who is the governing authority of Gaza, but you want to get food aid to their citizens. And so who attacks you? Well, the government of Gaza, Hamas, attacks Israel as it's trying to provide humanitarian aid. It's inconceivable that the world community would stand with Hamas. It just is mind-boggling to me that we have this, whether it's some international court or the UN, or now even our own government saying we're going to withhold ammunition. And all the protests on college campuses right here in America, I've got to say, are you kidding? Do you not understand the oppression that Hamas has its own citizens living under? All the humanitarian aid that has gone there over the years, all of it has been put into rockets and into tunnels, into planning attacks against Israel. The portion that went into education for children educated them in how to kill Israelis. That was their dominant ideology. All of this has to stop, and it has to stop on our watch. This Monday, the day after Holocaust Remembrance Day, let us all vow, never again. Israel has a right to exist. Israel has a right to be safe within its borders. In other news, across the nation, college students celebrated commencement. Some ceremonies were disrupted by the ongoing anti-Israel protest. Ephraim Graham has that story and more from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, today, Columbia University officials announced they're canceling the two main graduation ceremonies scheduled for May 15th. At the University of Michigan Saturday, protesters carried Palestinian flags and chanted slogans as they disrupted graduation. Meanwhile, police continue to clear some campuses. The Art University of Chicago, 68 people were arrested as a SWAT team removed students trying to set up an encampment. A similar situation at the University of Virginia, where police in riot gear took 24 into custody. At USC, officers kept close watch as campus security removed protesters and took down their tents. In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams responded to criticism of police action by pointing out the radical nature of some of the demonstrators.
And there was one of the flyers that was found inside the protest. And if you look closely, it says, "Death to America." There's a real attempt to radicalize our young people. And when you look at some of the information and some of the people who were there, we need to be clear that we cannot take this lightly.
Now, while Columbia University has canceled graduation, Columbia officials say they're still hoping to hold a festive event on May 15th in place of a formal graduation ceremony. One of America's largest Christian universities is being targeted, but not by protesters for its position on Israel. Grand Canyon University is under fire from the Biden administration. CBN's Billy Hallowell has the story.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona recently stunned critics with his vow to shut down Grand Canyon University, a popular Arizona-based Christian college.
We've levied the largest fine in ed history against a school that lied to students. We are cracking down on them, not only to shut them down, but to send a message across the country that you cannot prey on our students and expect to be successful.
Cardona's comments come just months after the Education Department hit the school with a historic $37.7 million fine.
Basically, they were accused of, misleading students about how many credits would be required for their doctoral program, and therefore leading students to spend more than they might have been expecting in tuition to complete those programs.
GCU President Brian Mueller, who's also been sued by the Federal Trade Commission, denies the claims and sees this all as part of an ongoing dispute over the school's nonprofit status.
This all started 14 years ago. Grand Canyon was in a very difficult spot, 900 students on campus, $20 million in debt. We switched from a nonprofit to a for-profit status and went to the public markets to get access to capital.
A decade later, as GCU thrived, leaders decided to revert back to nonprofit status. While the IRS recognized the new status, the Department of Education did not, leading to legal action.
Once we filed that complaint, the retaliation started.
Preston Cooper with the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity tends to agree there's somewhat of a vendetta in this case.
This is, fairly common behavior in higher education. I think it's very shady. I think it's a huge problem with the sector. But to say that this is a problem unique to GCU, I'm very skeptical of that. And that's why I am kind of the opinion that this is more of a targeted action against GCU rather than an effort by the Department of Education to fix this problem more broadly.
Mueller has no plans to back down.
We got to this point now because we filed an appeal, obviously. We said to them, it doesn't matter whether the fine's $37 million or $1. We're not paying it because what you're saying, the opposite is true. We are extremely transparent. We're known for that. We take pride in that. So obviously we're going to contest this, and right now it's under appeal.
Mueller points out that GCU provides a Christian worldview and hasn't raised tuition in 16 years. He also believes some critics want to stop the school's expansion.
We'll grow the campus out to 50,000 students in the next 7 or 8 years. Our online campus will grow from 92,000 students to 150,000 students because of the creative mechanisms we're putting in place. And so they're looking at that and they're saying, you know, these people are going to have a significant reach into the culture. We're the largest private university in the country. In a couple of years, we'll be the largest university in the country. And we do teach from a Christian worldview perspective. This is a movement that is gaining momentum. Kids are coming from all over the country. And I think there is a desire to stop the momentum.
The lawsuit triggered an audit of GCU on behalf of Arizona's Veterans Affairs Department in order to ensure credibility for GI Bill funding. The investigation into the Education Department's claims found nothing negative. GCU plans to continue to fight to clear its name. Billy Hollowell, CBN News.
Members of the Regent University graduating class of 2024 turned their tassels on Saturday. Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares encouraged the graduates to show thanks to the people who got them there, while Chancellor Gordon Robertson exhorted them to fight every battle on their knees.
Well, good morning and welcome to Regent University's 44th commencement ceremony. Congratulations to the class of 2024. I commend you for your tenacity, for your strength, for your academic achievements, and we're also very, very proud of you.
I ask for all of my graduates now to do something. I'm going to give you special dispensation. Take out your cell phones, and I want you real quick to text someone, if you have not done so already. I want you to text them, thank you, and I love you for the person that made you here today.
And so Regent takes its place among the great institutions of the past that have sought to protect knowledge, ideas, and free inquiry in a darkening world. In most universities today, students are formed to think narrowly, to trade curiosity for being part of the group. But Regent is forming students into the kind of people who will ask bold questions, challenge the status quo, and courageously lead in the troubled times that lay ahead.
You're about to join many other Regent alums who are already having a major impact in the areas of education, communication, law, government, healthcare, business, and of course, full-time ministry. Our Lord is now giving you a tremendous opportunity to change the lives of many as you fulfill His calling in taking the gospel to the marketplace.
My father told me that the only position no one will ever want to take from you is when you're on your knees. But it's also the position that determines every success in life. So, as you go from this graduation, do what the English settlers did. Take your cross with you. And every time you find a moment of testing or of doubt or of unbelief or even every success, set that cross up, bow your knee, and ask to see God's face. Graduates, you may change your tassels. Congratulations to all of you. May God bless you in all that you do.
Proud to say I'm married to a Regent grad. Congratulations to the class of 2024. Gordon?
Congratulations to all the graduates. It was one of the largest graduating classes in Regent University history. Over 2,200 received their degrees. Of that, over 500 received a doctorate. And what a wonderful graduating class. Yes, I am so proud of them. And to give the background on that quote, I was telling the story of what happened on April 29th, 1607, when 144 English pioneers came to America and landed right here in Virginia Beach at Cape Henry. And they brought a cross with them. They thought in advance, and they said, what do we want to be our first thing that we do in the new world? Well, the first thing they did was call for a prayer of repentance while they were anchored offshore. They had to get right with God. They had communion. And then they took their cross to the shores, they planted it here, and they bowed their knee. It's curious to me that they did that. They didn't dedicate this land to the King of England. They didn't claim it for his glory. They claimed it for the glory of Jesus Christ. And it was their secret weapon, and it can be your secret weapon too. If you want to be a part of the Regent University community, that's the word I have for it. It is definitely a community. If you want to be a part of it and you want to go to a college where Jesus is going to be honored, where professors regularly bow their knee, where prayer meetings are part of the curriculum, where you have an opportunity to learn in a Christian environment. If you would like that, there's a wonderful website where you can go, regent.edu. You can also call a special number, 866-910-7615. Regent offers 150 areas of study: business, counseling, communications, cybersecurity, our wonderful divinity school, education, our law school. It's all available. If you want to apply, go to regent.edu.